Hi, class. Welcome to Business 120. I'm Professor Alston, and I want to make sure that you have an idea of what I expect of you when you put together your dream job presentations. And I think the dream job presentation is really a snapshot of what you'd like to be in life. Your aspiration, your desire, your innermost, let's say, passion. And I've always said over the years, if you're not doing something that you're passionate about, then you're doing a job for someone else, and you need to do the job that you're passionate about. So the dream job presentation is about from A to Z. What does it take for you to get there? And this is an example from me to you about my dream job. As you can see, my dream job is to have a talk show. I like to be a talk show host again, and I did it for years in Tokyo, Japan. A TV show called Look Look Konnichiwa, and I speak Japanese fluently. And it was such a great experience that I felt like that's what I should be doing after I retire or once I get to the, let's say, the end of my academic career. So, dream job presentation, part one. The first thing you want to do is make sure it's a passion that you have in terms of the dream job. Is this something you really, really want to do? Do you wake up and think about it? Do you breathe it? Do you eat it? Which means, are you constantly working on your skill sets to make sure you can have your dream job? So mine is definitely passion. Since I was about 3 or 4 years old, I was always hosting an event. When I say that, I mean my mom would bring me into the living room and say, "Hey, Kale, tell a joke." Mom, I'm 3 years old. Well, tell a joke anyway before we spank you. Okay, I'll make up a joke, Mom. So I was always prepared to present. I was always, that outgoing kid that got in trouble though when I was in school, but I really knew that it was a God-given gift. And that's the other part that you have to think about. Is this something that you have an innate value in? Is it something you automatically say, I get a reward internally when I do my job? That's called passion. So, step one, what makes you happy? For me, entertaining the masses. One of my mentors and one of the folks I really looked up to was Oprah Winfrey. I love her platform that she presented to America and then to the world about telling your story. Her background as a journalist, my background as a journalist, 20 years in the United States Navy. I was a public relations officer. And so they kind of trained me into how do you say, be perfect on camera. And then also, I was a newspaper reporter. So behind the scenes, I was able to write stories, edit stories, take pictures. So this Hollywood kind of showbiz energy has always been in my blood. So step one was finding out, what do you really want to do? What do you want to contribute back to society? Mine was entertaining the masses. Part two is identify if you actually have personal values and or ideas or beliefs that will allow you to take your dream and allow it to come to fruition. For me, my personal values and ideas is I am a big fan and I appreciate all that Denzel Washington has done for the African American community in Hollywood. I was on the TV show, movie actually, Antoine Fisher. You can see there in the upper left hand side. I was one of the extras in the scenes, but I also was his assistant casting director. I also was his military advisor. And when I came onto the set, I've been in Hollywood for years. I've never come onto a set and saw nothing but African Americans running the set. And this was Denzel Washington's directorial debut. This is exactly what he wanted to do, was direct his own movie, and it came out phenomenally. Gentleman there in the middle, I'm sure you recognize that. Jamie Foxx, of course. Jamie Foxx and I did comedy years upon years ago when I was in my late 20s at the La Jolla Comedy Store here in, of course, La Jolla, California. And when I knew him, he was known as Eric Bishop. Eric Bishop. I used to introduce him on stage many a times, and he said, Kale, if you don't mind, introduce me as I'm a nobody trying to become a somebody. And that was his introduction. And he killed it. He went on to do amazing things. He and I talked about doing comedy together, but I had orders to Japan, being in the military, and he said, I'm going to go to Los Angeles, and I'm going to get me 4 different managers, two or three different agents. I'm going to make myself a star. When I went to Japan, 8 to 9 months later, I saw his CD, his music album. And I said, that looks like Eric Bishop. I said, oh, he looks a lot like Eric. I said, wait, that is Eric Bishop. He changed his name to Jamie Foxx. And I was just amazed that he really dug in and did exactly what he said he was going to do. He deserves all his fame. He deserves every single accolade that you can give this guy because he is a prime example of living your passion. He's an actor, he's a singer, he's a comedian, he's a musician. He does so much, and I give him nothing but props. So that's where I get my identity for my personal values and ideas. Both of these gentlemen are impeccable in Hollywood. No scandals, because there's always scandals. There's nothing that they've done besides stand up for what they believe in. So now we still continue and see, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I supposed to be in showbiz? Do I have the skills? Do I have any background? Folks, you can look at this slide and tell you every one of these shows I've either starred in, I've been in, or as an extra. I have my foundation up there on the upper right corner. You can see that is back to school, Erasmus Hall High School. To the right of that picture from my high school is Barbara Streisand. I went to the same high school as Barbara Streisand, and that was just phenomenal. It was School of Performing Arts, and you have folks as singers, musicians, um, just every aspect, dance, choreographers, everything you can imagine. And whenever I'd go to this class and I'd sit in one of the chairs, the teacher would say, "Kale, you better be phenomenal." And I said, "I plan to be. I'm excited about being here." But no, I need you to be phenomenal because you're sitting in the same exact chair that Barbara Streisand sat in. And I thought, okay, can I change chairs? Because that was too much pressure. Barbara Streisand is huge in the industry. So a little background there. Simon and Simon is one of the TV series that I got my acting debut on. Richard Gere, Mr. Jones, really enjoyed that movie I was in. Silk Stockings was a TV show that I was on a regular basis. I was the photo double for Ben Vereen. You can see the African American guy in the left hand corner there. Let's see if this will actually allow me to point. Probably not. But all of these were a great opportunity. I was in the movie Top Gun. I was in the movie, let's see, Highway Casanova or Highway Heartbreaker. That was really exciting. TV show Ally McBeal, where I played a juror. It was so exciting because I didn't know all this was possible. But I was in New York doing some off Broadway stuff. But when I came to California, the sky was the limit. And that's where that passion even got more heated up. Right there, you can see bottom right all the TV commercials that I did from Verona Casino to the lottery commercial. I was number 27. We had these big balls wrapped around us and we had to bounce around, coming out of a 18-wheeler truck because it was a premiere of the California Lotto, the lottery. Sprint commercials I've done, Super Bowl commercials I've done. Not Silk City. I believe it's still around. They've turned it, I think, into something from SeaWorld now, or Sesame Street, I believe it's called. But I did one of the first commercials for that as the behind-the-scenes producer, director, as well as the casting director for that movie. And you can see right over my shoulder there, you can see Toyota of Chula Vista did commercial for them too. So this is showing you I do have the background, I have the acting experience, because if you are in showbiz, you've got to have some really good acting experience. Regardless of what you're going to be doing, they want you to be an actor. And before I move on to the next slide, on the upper left corner, you see right there, that's a picture of me when I was only about 4 to 5 years old. And you can see the caption underneath it says, singer, actor, comedian. I wrote that when I was about, I want to say 4 or 5 years old. And I didn't even spell the word comedian correctly. I just knew I wanted to be a comedian. That's passion, folks. So step three, let's move into step three. Step three, what I'd like you to do is write down your personal goals. Because if you can't achieve your own personal goals, then how can you achieve your professional goals? So for example, prioritize your schedule. Make time for family, because the worst thing you can do is focus on nothing but yourself and forget about your wife, your kids, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever. Budget for your future job. Put money aside. For me, I had to go on auditions. I had to do a lot in terms of keeping my body, in shape. Now, of course, I'm retired. I'm not as in shape, but the point was I had to prepare for that dream job. Go to the gym as much as you can. Research for the dream job. So personal goals can motivate you to pursue a certain career or an educational option that which could possibly become a dream job in itself. My dream job is being also a full-time professor. And I've done that and I've enjoyed that. And I think I have another maybe 10 years under my belt. But now I need to think about my ultimate ultimate dream job? And I want to add the word ultimate to that because you're going to have several dream jobs along, let's say, your journey of life. But then, what is your ultimate dream job? Here's one thing I like to do is remove self-doubt. This is step 4. Do the best possible. Self-exercise. I will be the best. I am the best. I'm handsome. I'm gorgeous. I'm intelligent. Boost yourself up because other folks, especially in the industry I'm going for, they won't boost you up. They'll tear you down. They'll do the opposite. And then also, I've learned to get out of my own way. Stop finding excuses for not moving forward with my dream job. Stop saying I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm too fat, I'm too skinny, I'm too black. No, get out of your own way and just go. Because Lisa Nichols, who's a transformational speaker, she says you have to take that leap of faith and try. Get on the edge of success and then jump off and embrace success. A lot of people get pushed back because their mind wants to protect them and say, you know what, don't jump. You're going to get hurt. Well, yeah, if you get hurt, that's fine. But you have to at least try because two things will happen. Either you will jump towards success, find it, or you might miss it, fall, stumble, bumble. But if you get back up, you start again. You continue down that path of success. And also part of that, mention no toxic relationships. Super important. Do not involve yourself in toxic relationships. We say that the no sayers. When I lived in Japan for 6 years, the no sayers like don't try that and no stay in your lane. Yeah, but you have a great job. You have no reason to go out and explore and do all these. That's the naysayers. Those are the toxic people who don't want a lot for you. All right. Step 5. Determine your skill set. What have you done that has prepared you for that dream job? And if you haven't done those things to develop your skill sets, it's time for you to start doing that. Upper right, you can see that's me and Stevie Wonder when I was a reporter in Tokyo, Japan. That allowed me to understand the dynamics that occur when you can interview people at that level. I was nervous, but then he made me so comfortable because he cleared the entire studio. And he says, I want you, my brother, and I to be in the studio so you can be comfortable asking me questions. That was a 1 hour interview. And you can see over my right shoulder there, or my left shoulder, well, actually my right shoulder, there's a camera. We did it on TV, and we all did it for the newspaper. That was the best interview of my life. Stevie Wonder, amazing. Just below that picture, you'll see me for my first time doing stand-up comedy on the USS Independence when I was, that's my first aircraft carrier when I was in the United States Navy. I opened for Bob Hope. Hopefully some of you know who Bob Hope is. It was a whole bunch of celebrities. The Miss USA pageant was there. Actually, Ben Vereen was there. Emmanuel Lewis, a lot of folks back from the late 80s. But I was able to open. I was the opening comedian for Bob Hope. That was huge. On the left hand side there, you can see a picture of me when I was in the 7th grade. And I was always a comedian. Back then, I knew I was going to be, hopefully someone special. The middle picture's right there. That's me on the TV show in Tokyo, Japan called Look Look Konnichiwa. And that's me hosting the show. In the middle there, that's me with presidential candidate Jesse Jackson. That was one of my interviews that really made me think twice about how people can shape the world. And he's one of those folks that was doing that. So, to determine your skill sets, first of all, I'm an actor, I'm a comedian, I've been an international talk show host, as you can see from Look Look Konnichiwa, speak Japanese and English, United States Naval journalist and public relations officer, professor of business and finance, and I've also been a San Diego political figure. I've run for the board of trustees for the San Diego Community College District, which you can see was right behind you there. And I also ran for city council in 2020. So some pretty current information there. So I feel that I am geared towards being able to sustain a talk show based on my experience. Here's part 2 that I think you really need to take a second look at. What are the educational requirements for that dream job that you're going for? What skills do you need? Are you ready for that? Do you need to take a trade school? Do you need to step back and say, that's a lot of education. I'm not sure if I want to do all of that. Now is the time to look at all that. Research education, the requirements for my dream job, educational background. While formal education is not a strict requirement, having a background in communication and media studies and journalism or related field can be beneficial. I have all of that. My undergrad is in communication. My MBA is in global management. My doctorate is in, it's actually a doctorate of business administration, and the focus is on autism and how to manage autism. So I have the background, which is great. And now I've graduated from photojournalism school while I was in the United States Navy. That was a 6 month school. I have an associate's degree in communication, a bachelor's degree in communication. My entire career in the military was journalism, broadcasting, broadcast engineer, so forth. MBA, global management, like I just spoke of, in the doctoral studies, and it's a DBA. And those are the moments you say, you have what it takes. I want you to look at this and see if your educational pursuits are taking you towards your dream job, or the skills, or maybe some of the things that you are doing, let's say, out in town, some volunteering. Is that taking you towards your dream job? That's when you realize either you're going to change gears or you're on the right path. Now we're not always going to have the educational background possibly, but you can identify your skills that are required for the jobs by looking at what the job is you'll be applying for. So you create your content, such as a podcast, go to YouTube, do a lot of things. This is tying into my dream job, having your own talk show. I should start out with maybe a podcast. Develop interview skills. I think I have that down. I've been doing that for 20 years in the United States Navy, 22 years as a professor, and I think I'm pretty good at that. But I have to assess that skill, and is that really me? I'm gonna pitch my idea. I had a TV show years ago called "Kids Are Too Cool," and it was on Fox, the network, up in Los Angeles, and it ran for about a season. But I had the opportunity to say, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna see how it goes. And it was just one of those funny shows where I was the host of it. I'm having students, not students to say, children, trying to guess what's in the magic hats, and just one of the little cute, and Fox loved it. Financially, they didn't want to support it, but I at least tried it. And I would say, if you don't try, you'll never know if you could have succeeded. Develop a unique persona. I think that whenever someone runs across me as an individual, I have a unique persona. I've been in grocery stores and I hear people say, "Hey, are you Professor Alston?" They never met me, but they've heard my voice or they've seen my videos on Canvas. That speaks mounds when your reputation precedes you. And that's what I think I need to have and have to have as a talk show host. And I also analyze a lot of folks. I love Jennifer Hudson so much as a singer, but talk show, it's not her forte. It's not what she should be doing. She should be on Broadway singing, acting, even oh, what's her? Oh, Sherry, she's okay. Drew Barrymore. Ah. So sometimes you sit back and say, who actually was born to be on TV? Oprah Winfrey, uh, Howie Mandel, Robin Williams. I mean, these are a lot of folks and comedians that I've met over the years. They deserve to be on TV because they have what it takes. And that's when you start thinking, okay, how do I make sure I can network and get to where I need to get to? So, how to become that talk show host? Reach out to mentors, teachers, professional network. I'm gonna start building small. Okay, I've already talked to folks up in Fox up in Los Angeles, and they remember me from 25 years ago. I've also applied for entry positions. Maybe I can work for one of the studios here, and I can quietly pitch some of my ideas for a talk show, or just create a talk show and put it on public access. And nowadays, we can put everything on YouTube, and it blows up, or on TikTok or Instagram. So there's so many opportunities for me, for my dream job, to actually come to reality through social media. Continuing with part two, join a professional association that relates to your dream job if you can. For me, I'm part of the National Black MBA Association Incorporated. I'm a member of the National Broadcasters. I'm a member of the Toastmasters International. I'm also a Screen Actors Guild, SAG, as well as AFT, as well as Associated Actors and Artists of America, and the National Communication Honor Society. So one of those societies, one of those memberships, one of those associations, hopefully will connect me with the folks that would say, you know what, we'd like to see what you can do. Coming up for an actual interview. Step five, we're still in part two. Step five, How to become a talk show host? Gain relevant experience. I think the military has done that for me. I think the talk show in Tokyo has done that for me. But also, if you go way back, as a New Yorker, I was a DJ. San Diego, I was a DJ. Going back to the broadcasting years, newspaper editor. I was in Sasebo, Japan. I was the editor in chief of a 52-page newspaper, and that was an undertaking because I wasn't the best speller or the best person for sentence grammar or syntax, but I became what the military told me to become, a journalist. Entertainment reporter, that's the area that I shined in. I loved it. Everyone who came to Japan was interviewed by me for the most part while I was there. So I've interviewed Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder, you've seen pictures already, Bill Clinton when he was existing president, the sitting president. Um, it can go on and on. It was so many people who came. Total, which was a group just like TLC, came through. Um, Whitney Houston was one of my most exciting because she had a lot to say. But again, that's the background. That's the background that you need to say you can be a talk show host, but do you have all the background? And that's why I want you to go step by step by step, part one, part two, and see if this is what you have. Because I had one student who was excited about being a historian, a librarian historian, and she's going to do it. But then the reality hit, it's so much school involved. She didn't realize there's a lot of schooling because she thought you just get your maybe associate, your bachelor's, and you're a historian. She has to get at least to her master's level. And in some instances, they want a doctorate in being a historian. Wow. So if you do the steps, some of the steps may not be something you want to do. It may give you a quick wake up, or you may modify your dream job. That's what this assignment is all about, making you think of what your real dream job, will turn into. Getting the job. So get ready for your resumes, the interview, you practice, 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 practice. This is an example of an actor's resume, and we always put our headshots on our resumes. A lot of folks are saying, "Why'd you do that?" It's people no, because they want to see what you look like. If you're going up for a modeling gig, whether you're going up for acting, singing, they want to see what you look like. Showbiz is a little bit prejudiced, and I'll say that they want to see what's in their mind coming in front of the camera. And it took a long time for me to get roles that weren't typical African American roles. I did one of the TV shows that I was in was called Highway Heartbreak, and that was with the guys from Silk. I forgot. Anyway, make a long story short, I was the assistant DA in that show, sitting in the courtroom, dressed in a suit, and some of the other actors looked at me like, well, "What role are you playing?" I said, "I'm the assistant DA," and they kind of looked at me like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, a black African American young guy can be assistant DA." That's the moment I said I need to break that mold, break the stereotype. Even when I went to Tokyo, when I auditioned, for roles that I knew I could pull off, and I was doing a beer commercial for Asahi beer, like, and I was saying in Japanese, "Hontodayo, Osaki beer, oshikatta, arigatou gozaimasu." They didn't want that. They said, "Osimasen, daijoubu, daijoubu. You sound good, but can you sound more black?" And I'm like, I'm talking black. No, 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 black. I said, "You mean like, yo, what's up? How you doing? Osahi beer. That's my shit." Woo! That's what they really wanted me to do, to be the stereotypical African American that they see on TV. That's showbiz. That's not what I wanted to do. But again, you're going to make some of those accommodations for people. You're going to have some compromises. That's when you go like, do I really want to do all of this? My son is an actor and a gamer and so many things that he wants to do. So we put his resume together. And this will get him in the door. This will give him a chance to say, "Hey, I'm Xavier Alston. These are some of the performances that I did when I was at Southwestern College as a theater arts major. And please give me a chance to audition for you." This is what you want to do. You want to tailor your resume to what the job description talks about. If they're acting for a seasoned theater actor, or thespian, as we say, or a person who can do just commercials or TV shows, your resume should reflect what the job description is asking for, or the audition piece. And step three, part three, is demonstrate passion, drive, and eagerness to learn um, in terms of during the job interview. So you're wrapping it up, you're excited about what they're telling you, and then you're telling them, "You know what? Whatever the job is, I know I can do it. And if I can't do it the first day, I will have it by the second day." In other words, tell them you're eager. And so this, for me, I'm about auditioning, about my look, about how I sound, But your dream job might be completely different. You might want to be a lumberjack, okay? Or you might want to be this one gentleman who wanted to have his own, let's say, aquarium or aquatic center that had sharks and dolphins who made it and they were docile. So you could pet the sharks physically and swim with the sharks. And he mapped that out, and I believe one day he'll have that. So that's the exciting part of the dream job. It allows you to think realistically whether you can actually attain that dream job. Do you have the skills to actually be that particular person that you'd like to be? Or will you make adjustments along the way? So that's my dream job, is to be a talk show host. And I do believe I might get to that one day. I already did it, but I want to do it on a permanent basis where you can go like, I'll be the new male Oprah Winfrey. All right, folks, let's see what your dream jobs are.